Hey everyone, it's Erica Stapleton with the 12 News I-Team. And it's no secret that Arizona ranks really low when it comes to education, from teacher pay to funding to test scores. So the I-Team wanted to try and figure out why. And I started with the data.
When she first moved to Arizona a few years ago,
we were used to like a 20-to-1 ratio, where here there's closer to 30, sometimes over 30 kids with one teacher.
Nicole Ferruta was well aware of the reputation.
Low test scores, rankings of schools.
Year after year, Arizona ranks among the lowest of states in education, teacher pay, student spending, and test scores.
Things need to change, and our kids deserve a better future.
The I-Team wanted to get a better understanding of why this is, so we started with the data. For this story, we focused on the largest school districts in Maricopa County, who had at least 1,000 kids take 4th or 8th grade reading or math assessments last year. Our analysis found that in 2024, more than half of students in each district were not proficient in at least one of those categories. And the elephant in the classroom: we can't compare these scores to private schools because they aren't required to take state testing or submit scores.
I feel like the way that they're teaching it might hinder their proficiency level.
Nicole is a mom of 2, with one child in 4th grade in the Peoria School District and another child in 7th grade at a charter school. She said both her kids excel in reading, but math is another story.
Both of them have struggled in math. I don't understand why they transition from one lesson to the next without having the child master the first lesson. I'm not an educator, I don't know, but I feel like it's doing a disservice to the child.
The I-Team put out an informal survey asking why some students may be below grade level in reading and math. We heard from nearly 80 parents and educators. Not everyone was worried, but some blamed COVID, increased screen time, lack of parent involvement, growing classroom sizes, kids missing school, kids leaving for private schools, behavioral problems, and of course,
not every child is going to learn the same way. We may need to introduce concepts that are child-specific, not classroom-specific. But I don't think that there's funding for that.
The F word, funding.
We know that Arizona is the worst in the nation. We get the worst financial support from the state.
Deer Valley Unified School District Superintendent Dr. Curtis Finch.
We are number 50, and so we are paying the consequences for that.
That sucks to hear. Sorry to be blunt, but like that that's a hard statistic to live with. Do you do anything to try and change that?
Deer Valley has a long reputation of winning everything. And it's not because we have money coming out our ears. No, we have dedicated people that see the purpose of why we're doing it. That's why students come here. That's why staff come here.
For him, education has to be more than money and more than test scores.
These tests are all progress tests, not proficiency tests. You just haven't learned it yet.
And how do you ensure that the students who maybe aren't hitting that benchmark in the moment are getting the help that they need?
Your bigger districts have these data tools that you can actually drill down to the student. We know where he or she is struggling and how we can adapt.
Some who took our survey said students aren't getting that individualized help in their districts.
What would you say to the parents who say, my kids are still struggling?
Probably the best answer would be it's a team. How much are you reading to your kid at home? Your school can only do so much to help each student.
Another issue, he said, school vouchers, particularly when kids leave and come back to the district.
Now they're behind. It's my job to use more resources to bring them back up to speed with the state standards.
ESA is not the problem. The problem is the skills of the teachers and the teacher leaders.
Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Horn, has yet another take.
Why do you think some districts have such low scores?
They don't know what to do in teaching and in leadership. Economics is not a barrier to academic proficiency, and we're doing everything we can to help the schools improve the teaching so we can get the proficiency rates up.
Like his department sending teams to help with training at some of the lowest scoring schools.
And I feel for teachers. They're overworked, they're underpaid. Sometimes it's easier to just pass kids through.
Whatever the reason, parents like Nicole expect more.
I feel like sometimes the kids get left out a little bit, or there's no accountability because the teachers can't monitor all of those students.
There are a lot of schools of thought as to what's leading to low test scores, but how to respond to them is also a polarizing topic. The state's top education official says test scores are his top priority, but not everyone is convinced they really matter.
If there was an equation for a good education,
Our state championships in the last 8 years,
Dr. Curtis Finch, superintendent of the Deer Valley Unified School District, has an answer.
culture eats everything else for breakfast.
But statewide, test scores raise some flags. The I-Team examined 4th and 8th grade math and ELA test score data for public and charter schools in Arizona, unable to check private schools who don't report to the state. We found that of all large school districts in Maricopa County, the majority of students did not pass the tests at grade level in at least one of those categories. The I-Team also looked at scores before COVID and after, finding that from 2018 to 2024, a majority of the large districts trended down in proficiency for the math and reading categories.
Are you concerned with the levels that students are at right now?
No, I think what confuses parents is the word proficient. These tests are not proficiency tests. They are sold that way. They're really progress tests because the final destination is graduation.
He likens it to driving.
If you are getting ready to take your driver's test at 16 and they don't know how to parallel park, does that mean they do not know how to drive? The answer is no. It's just they haven't learned how to parallel park yet.
In 2024, Deer Valley Unified School District actually had higher 4th and 8th grade proficiency rates than similar sized districts, even if some students weren't testing at grade level. And when you look at that final destination, the graduation rate district-wide in 2024 was just above 95%. Across the valley, Andy sees kids coming into high school at different speeds.
When it comes to reading, I see students that excel and students that maybe aren't doing as well as we would hope.
And that can cause some roadblocks.
Because if they're behind, it is definitely very difficult to catch up.
He's a parent and public school teacher in the East Valley and asked we not use his last name. He said he's seen a focus on boosting test scores in his district.
For me, it's, okay, here's where our students are at. So how can we move forward and help the kids?
And for him, the equation is parents plus teachers equals student success.
When I get those emails from teachers saying, you know what, your student's doing great, might be struggling here, here's how I can help, here's maybe what you can do at home. When we have that communication piece, that incredibly positive communication piece, our kids will perform better in school.
For State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Horn,
Where do you want to see proficiency levels at?
Well, a lot higher than they are now.
test scores take up almost the entire equation.
That's my number one goal.
Why do they matter to you?
Students have to be able to read and comprehend what they're reading. They have to do math problems. And if they can't, they won't be able to get jobs and they'll be on welfare. I think that's pretty important.
His plan, sending coaching teams from the Department of Education to lower performing schools to help boost scores.
We did an experiment in this school.
Starting with Wilson Elementary School District. The small Phoenix school system recently celebrated a 6% increase in 5th grade ELA scores and a 25% increase in 5th grade math under the program.
A tremendous achievement.
But the state currently doesn't have resources to do this in every school that needs it. Back in Deer Valley,
I'm very confident in public schools.
Craig Beckman has a 5th grader and 1st grader in the Deer Valley Unified School District. And he's also an admin for the DVUSD Parents Facebook group.
We get a lot of questions about school safety. We get some stuff about bullying, social emotional wellness. We don't see a lot on test scores.
Why do you think that is?
We understand that they don't always have a good test-taking day. To spend a month on teaching just to the test, personally, I don't find that very effective in my child's education.
He also flags factors like changes to tests, changes to the population, and access to necessities.
Increased poverty, food insecurity, all those things impact test taking. So it is a cause for concern to see test scores drop, but we really have to look at the why. Is it our public schools that are failing, or is it our society that is failing our students?
The State Department of Education said the Wilson Elementary School District was the first to have that kind of lab where teaching coaches are on site, but they do have other trainings available for teachers. If they get more funding, they'll consider doing the program again. This really has been a dynamic conversation about education in Arizona, and we want to continue our reporting. If you want to weigh in, scan the QR code on your screen. Our education survey is still live with room for open-ended answers to share all of your thoughts. For the I-Team, I'm Erica Stapleton. Thanks for watching.